Good evening, everyone. Nexus The Ultimate Forensics believes in upcoming with latest trends and knowledgeable programs for community of forensics. Here this time, we are obliged to get a program for the development of human mind, a crucial phase in this pandemic era. The family of Nexus The Ultimate Forensics brings up the live webinar on mental health in forensic world, don't neglect, do accept, from the alumni of forensicers to forensicers and by forensicers in India. Hoping this webinar gets you to understand all the difficulties and challenges in mental health. Our first session, suicide is the third leading cause of death and current problems in today's world. Hereby presenting us our next topic for webinar, Forensic Helping Hand in Suicide Prevention. The speaker for this session is Ms. Nehal Singh, a co-founder of Holistic Health India and works as a psychologist in Sharanam Therapy and Healing Center, Juhu, as well as mental health consultant for various ventures such as Zaid Khan Fitness and Unfiltering Ourselves. She has graduated in forensic science and masters in clinical psychology, wherein plays a multiple role of mental health professional skilled in psychological assessment, forensic psychology, counseling, and investigation with internship experience from Central Bureau of Investigation, Forensic Psychology Department, Psychiatric Hospital, and demonstrated history of working in the health and wellness industry. Over to you, Snehal.
Thank you so much, Venkatesh. So we are going to start with mental health in forensic world. Don't neglect, do accept. So the theme for today's session is suicide. We've heard about suicide a lot. We all have our opinions about suicide. We've been hearing about it from all the angles, from criminal angle, from health point of view, from mental health, from society and community point of view. One opinion that needs to be a scientific opinion that we all need to understand is that suicide is a public health problem. It is not a personal problem. It is not one person's problem or anyone's problem. It is everybody's problem. Suicides and suicide attempts have a ripple effect that impacts on families, friends, colleagues, communities, and societies. Close to, so when I said that suicide is everybody's problem, the reason I said is because the cause is somewhere mental health as well as the social problems along with it, which affects the individual as well as the community, the family members, and the professional and personal life. Suicide occurs in all regions of the world. In fact, 79% of the global suicides happen in low and middle class income countries. While the link between suicide and mental disorders is very well established, many suicides also happen impulsively and during the moments of the crisis. Further risk factors which include experience of loss, loneliness, discrimination, a relationship breakup, financial issues, chronic pain and illnesses, abuse, conflict, or humanitarian emergencies. For example, as we can see right now, we are in the middle of the pandemic, and the amount of the rise in the cases of suicide is very much visible to all of us. We've been disturbed. Some of us are disturbed. Some of us might also have suicidal thoughts at this point of time. Most of us might feel like giving up. Well, how can we prevent it? What can be done to prevent suicide? What can be done to solve this public health problem? First thing is, as WHO recommends, 4 key interventions which have proven to be very effective. First is restricting the access to means. For example, if there are lethal weapons or poisons or firearms available and accessible to public without any security, then we will have to restrict those access. Second is working with media to ensure responsible reporting of suicide. So I'll also share a few case studies related to the similar topic. Helping people develop skills to cope with life pressures, early identification and management of people who are thinking about suicide or who have made a suicide attempt, keeping follow-up contact in short and long term. So as a forensic health professional, as a forensic professional, there are few things that are very key important things that all of us need to know about suicide, and it has to be the basic knowledge, not only forensic professionals, but in fact everybody needs to know. But from the legal point of view, the first thing is, before Mental Health Care Act was in 2018, when the act was passed, before that suicide was considered as a crime. So people under section 309, a person attempting suicide was punished. But after that, when Mental Health Act, Healthcare Act was passed in 2018, attempt to die by suicide is discussed in section 115 of MHCA 2017. Part 1 of the section states that, notwithstanding anything contained in section 309 of the IPC, any person who attempts to die by suicide shall be presumed, unless proven otherwise, to have severe stress, and shall not be tried and punished under the said code, which means the individual attempting to suicide is now not going to be punished according to 309 as it was punished earlier, because now due to Mental Health Care Act, one of the most important thing which is considered, that is severe stress. An individual, probably they would have been going through some battling with some mental illness, or there would be certain stressors in their life that they would be facing, and due to which they had to take this step. So the suicide attempt is decriminalized by section 115 of Mental Health Care Act, superseding section 309 of IPC. However, that does not absolve anyone from abating an attempt to die by suicide. So if any person dies by suicide, whoever abets the commission of suicide shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years, and shall also be liable to fine, which means an individual attempting suicide would not be punished, but somebody who's instigating him or her to do so, or who is torturing or creating certain events for an individual, so that he has to push his limits and then commit something, and then attempt for suicide, or to end their life, or to die by suicide, then the abetment, the person who abets, is punished. So for example, if C dies by suicide and the instigation or the torture was done by B or A, or A was torturing B, then both A and B will be punished, but not the person. Coming to the next slide. So when we now, as we are aware about, as we are familiar with the law, what do you think? So the first thing that comes to your mind is, okay, now I've understood what suicide is. I know the prevention measures have to be taken, and I know the legal aspects of law of my land. But how do I understand more about it? So because earlier suicide was a crime, then it was decriminalized. Our society has multiple opinions about it, because suicide is not something which is happening in past 10 years or in 5 years. It's been happening since years. It is since since humans are there, stressors are there, and people have dealt with it in different ways, in the ways they could, or their coping mechanisms. So I'll explain you a bit about what exactly are the myths and facts about suicide. So one of the first myths is suicide can't be prevented. If someone is set on taking their life, there is nothing that can be done to stop them. So this is one of the major myths, which leads to lots of loss and lots of loss of lives as well, because it is very important to understand that suicide is 100% preventable. The vast majority of people contemplating suicide don't really want to die. They are seeking end to an intense mental or physical pain. Interventions can save life. They don't want to end life. They want to end the pain and suffering that they are going through, which means that intervention and help can prevent suicide. People don't so people who take their life, second myth is, people who take their life are selfish, coward, weak, or looking for attention. For example, when we lost Sushant Singh Rajput, there was media reports which were saying that he lost or he couldn't fight, and then people were asking itna bhi kya weak tha, ya weak log suicide karte hain, I am strong, or he's or she is a coward to suicide. So the reality to this is people don't die of dengue or cancer if they don't get treatment due to lack of treatment. Then it doesn't mean that they are cowards. So if somebody dies of dengue or pneumonia or cancer without treatment, that clearly means that they did not get proper treatment. Similarly, with better recognition and treatment, many suicides can be prevented. As suicide is not a choice, it is a health problem. So when proper help and proper environment is provided to an individual having suicidal thoughts, suicide can be prevented, and they have all the strength within them to deal with their situations. They want to deal with their situation. Is the thing is that can't find a choice, and it is our responsibility to make them find those choices, to make a safe environment where they can share whatever they're feeling and to provide them help. Moving towards the third myth, asking people if they are thinking about suicide will put the idea in their head and cause them to act on it. So, asking people if they are thinking about suicide can actually help them. By giving people an opportunity to share their troubles, you can alleviate their pain and find solutions. So we humans are social animals. We need people around us. We need validations for our emotions. If you're feeling sad, no matter how stupid sometimes we feel sad, but people around us feel that the reason is very stupid and we shouldn't feel sad about it. The thing is, in such situations, we don't want everybody to be, so if I am sad, so I don't want everybody to be sad with me, or everybody to say that okay fine, bahut bura hua. What I exactly want is, I want people to understand that I am sad, give me the space, validate my emotions, and probably I'll be fine in a while, rather than making me feel like whatever I'm feeling or whatever I'm going through is very little and I should suppress those feelings. Barriers on bridges, safe firearm storage, and other actions to reduce access to lethal methods of suicide don't work. People will just find another way, which is not true. Many suicides are impulsive and are triggered by immediate crisis. Separating someone in crisis from lethal method, example firearm or rope or cloth, can give them something they desperately need: time. Time to change their mind, time to resolve their crisis, and time for someone to intervene. So, as I said, that they don't want to end their life, they want to end the suffering, they want to end those thoughts which are troubling them, which are making them feel that there's nothing good in life. So, if you give them time, if you give them intervention, if you give them help, probably that would somewhere give them time to not react onto their impulses, and then through intervention you can save the life. Next is, people making suicidal threats won't really do it. They are just looking for attention. So this is something that all of us need to understand, is that people who talk about suicide or express their thoughts about wanting to die are at risk of suicide and need your attention. Most people who die by suicide give some indication by warning. Take all threats of suicide seriously, even even uh, if you think that they are just crying for help, or they are just they just want somebody to hear, they're not gonna die. What you need to focus on is they are crying for help, which means they need help. Probably they don't need help with you saving their life, they need help with you helping them to deal with the problems they have in life, or to make this world a little bit kinder, uh, by not being mean to them, not being unempathetic or apathetic to them. So if somebody around you is giving you suicidal threats, it is your responsibility somewhere to inform about it to the concerned person, to make them seek mental health help, make them go to mental health professional, inform their immediate family members, their guardians about it, and probably you can also inform in police, call up to suicide helplines. All of this you're supposed to do, even if because your assumption about whether they are going to die or not is going to be very risky. So better assume the fact that if somebody is telling they need help, if somebody is actually, letting you know about that. Don't invalidate that. And next is talk therapy or medications don't work. If somebody has to die, they will die. So now this is one of the most harmful myths that has been circulated in the society. Because one of the best ways to prevent suicide is by getting help from mental health professionals. The right treatment can greatly reduce risk of suicide. Now you don't seek mental health help only when there is a mental health disorder, or people don't go to therapy or counseling sessions only when there is some serious mental health disorder or illness is that they're going through. Mental health help means simply seeking help for that part of your body which needs help, which is mental health, and you already have it. So you don't need to have an illness or something to take care of it. For example, if there is some stress in your life, that again adds up to that it is affecting your mental health. And just like your body parts, other body parts, your mental health also needs attention, because when you get physically wounded, if you don't if you so it's basically for example, if I get a wound over here, and if I cover it by my shirt saying that chalta hai, theek hota hai, it's not going to get better until unless I get a treatment for it. And if I keep suppressing it, if I keep hiding it, it's going to increase. Similarly, the problem with mental health is because it is not visible, we think that it doesn't exist. But somewhere it starts eating you up from inside. So it's always better to not suppress your emotions and to let it out, to seek help. There's nothing wrong in seeking help. Of course, due to mental health stigma, people people have some resistance towards seeking help. But as forensic professionals, it is our responsibility to make people understand the importance of mental health, because we are going to encounter more people who are going to have mental health illnesses, or are going to commit certain acts into their because of their impulse, or probably your advice, your suggestion would help them from not committing something much more worse or bad. So not only suicide, I would recommend that all the forensic professionals, everybody, because you're most of the times forensic professionals are also first line responders to the crime scene, with the victims, with the criminals. So understanding the importance of mental health would be very important, so that you pass on that awareness to other people out there also who need help, because people you are going to meet are going to be in complete state of distress. And that's exactly when you're supposed to go for a therapy or for a counseling session. So next is, now when we've spoken about what are the myths about suicide, and what are the actual facts about suicide, and how can you use them to help people seek help and reduce the risk of suicide and save lives, there is something much more important also. So that is how we talk about suicide. Why is it very important to discuss this topic is because uh, mental health, when we talk about mental health, it is an umbrella term to various other factors, which means your emotional health, the way you think, the way you perceive things, the way you feel about people, how people treat you, the way uh, you feel about how you treat others. All of it matters. And it is now each one of us would, from social media or somewhere, we've heard that physical words hurt matter, words hurt more than the harm that you get physically. Now probably this is just an analogy, but it is there, because when words hurt, it's not visible, but the hurt is there. And because it is not visible, we don't seek help. And because we don't seek help, it keeps getting worse and worse. So coming back to words, it is very important to be empathetic. What does empathy mean? So empathy means that even if you're not going through something, trying to be into another person's shoes and trying to understand how it feels. For example, probably you're not going through suicidal thoughts, you're not going through mental distress, but it is very important for you as a human being to understand, uh, like go be into their shoes and try to see world from their perspective. How would you feel if you're treated the way you're treating them? And it will also help you understand why people behave the way they behave. Maybe because, and you might not understand it, it might sometimes just be some random thing to you and you would dislike certain people for doing certain things. I'm not saying that you're supposed to like everybody, but yes, it is not a big deal just to first understand that okay, probably this person was rude to me, or when you say that this particular person is a narcissistic, this person is a schizophrenic, or whatever people come up with, the labels, the kind of labels they come up with, it is very important to understand first why are they the way they are. Probably something bad would have happened, they are also struggling with something in life, and then we cannot do much to say help everybody around us and with their mental health, but all we can do is at least not create more problems in their life, so that being empathetic and compassionate is going to contribute your contribute more kindness to the world. So recently there were when in lockdown there were lots of suicides that were been reported by media, and we have media reporting guidelines by WHO for media, and as well as people, media houses, people who write newspapers. So one of the but problems was that there were lots of pictures that were being used, and lots of sensationalization that was being used for the stories that were coming up for suicide. And now it is very important for all of us to know what responsible suiciding reporting is, because all of us are using social media. So whenever we get to know an information, we usually share it. We share it with on our Instagram, on our Facebook, and on our WhatsApp. It could be triggering. We need to understand first it could be triggering to people out there. Second, it is very important to put it up in a way that it is helpful rather than causing more harm to it. So first, so how do we talk about it, about suicide? First is do provide accurate information about where to seek help. For example, if you get to know that somebody has died by suicide, most important thing is when you report it, when you write about it, you provide accurate information about where to seek help if people are having suicidal thoughts, because the story of somebody, or the event of somebody dying by suicide, when you report it, the people reading it, some of them, it could be very triggering for them. So when they see your story and below that if you provide numbers or accurate information about how to seek help, probably it will be a good help to them. Do educate people about the facts and suicide prevention without spreading myths. So, as I said, that being a forensic professionals, we are going to we are going to be first line respondents. We are going to encounter victims, survivors, criminals, people's local police. Then there would be people who just gather around. So the suicide, around the crime scene. Also, there are going to be people who are going to ask information from you if you were available on the crime scene, and if you know certain things about what has occurred during at the crime scene, all of this. So you are going to be somebody who is going to provide information outside the zone of the uh, legal vicinity. So it is very important to be very much aware about what exactly suicide is, why does it occur, what are the causes, and how to react after it. So one thing would be that rather than reacting, let's respond about it. Take time, understand what's happened, and uh, probably go through what are do's and don'ts. So do educate people about the facts, suicide prevention without spreading myths. Do share stories of how to cope with life stressors or suicidal thoughts and how to get help. So this is what you're supposed to do. What you're not supposed to do is don't use language which sensationalizes or normalizes suicide or presents it as a constructive solution to problems. So this is very important, because when you talk about suicide, there are going to be people who are going to listen to it. There are going to be teenagers who are going through stresses in their life. They are going to read it or listen to it. And the way you write it, being a professional, the way you write about it, the way you express it, it is going to form up it is going to impact the perspective people have towards suicide. So it is very crucial for us to understand that when you talk about it, first you don't need to it has to be very much informative way, in which as much as people need to know that okay, a death this person, and also you need to respect the confidentiality of the family, the right to privacy of the individual, the right to dignity of the individual, even if they've died. Don't explicitly describe the method used of suicide. Don't provide details about the location. Don't use sensational headlines. Don't use photographs or video footage. So this is very important to know that this is what you're not supposed to do. And because not only this is going to put you in legal trouble first, because you're violating the reporting guidelines. And second would be that it's going to create more problem in society, because there are problems. For example, when we lost Sushant Singh Rajput, when he died, there were few teenagers who imitated the act of suicide the way he did it. And that is something which is also known as copycat suicide. So when media or when professionals who are reporting about it, if they report it in a manner which is not very informative and helpful, when they sensationalize it a lot, there are kids who probably would repeat the same thing. So for example, it is very essential, especially in the cases of celebrity suicide reporting, and when you talk about it, because people look up to them. So whatever they do, children, teenagers, and probably youth also try to imitate it. They look up to them as heroes. So it is very important to put that information in a manner which doesn't instigate another suicide or another suicidal thoughts coming up to people. So, okay, now leave the screen. Let this conversation reach your heart and ignite insights about your own life. Why I'm saying this is because, so as we've known about few details of suicide, it is very important for us to understand that how do we relate with it personally first, and what do we do if there is somebody very close to us who's getting suicidal thoughts, or if you're talking to somebody and you realize the person is having suicidal thoughts, or how to understand that this person could probably have suicidal thoughts and how to prevent that. So first thing is, there are three important factors that we need to know, especially as a forensic, when you are into a forensics team, or if you are a forensic professional working independently, or if you are somebody who is who is probably studying and who you've not yet started working. In either of these situations, you are the bridge between the medical science part and the legality, which means you're going to be you're going to interact with patients, survivors, victims, criminals, accused, acquitted, all kind of people. They are going to be from all the aspects and all the regions of the country, all the different stratas and classes of the different faiths and beliefs. So you are going to be interacting with probably every different kind of individual into a state where they are in distress. A crime has occurred or somebody is being accused, acquitted, it's going to be a situation where they're already in stress. How you talk to them is going to matter a lot. Of course, you cannot counsel them, but you can help them create awareness. You can be the source of awareness. Reason I'm saying this is because, first, mental health is not just the problem. Awareness of mental health is not just something that only mental health professionals should be focusing on. It is a problem of society, and each one from us in the society need to understand it. Since you are going to be the breach between, so you're going to be medical legal system, you're going to be into the criminal system, legal system, evidentiary value would be affected by the way you put up things. So it is very important in those aspects to make people much more aware about mental health, and to make people much more empathetic and compassionate about whatever is happening around them. First is what to do when you are, so first are police. When you interact with police, first thing to understand is they're already in our country, police is going through lots of stress. They're not given adequate training. They're not given adequate support and stress management that they need. So they are going to be first under stress. probably that is the reason we have been listening lots of stories about police brutality and crime committed on police, crime committed by police. And in that situation, what can you do as a forensic professional? First is, while you communicate to people, empathy, as we spoke about empathy earlier, be empathetic to them. Try to, before reacting to whatever they say or do, try to understand why are they behaving the way they are behaving. And that will help you respond to it in a better way without being frustrated or irritated, because once you understand the cause of why the person is doing something, it probably will help you to better understand why they're reacting in a certain way, and it is not personal. So the way people behave is, you don't have to always take it personal. A rude person is not rude to you because you are bad. It's their upbringing, it's their conditioning. You cannot change that, but probably you can improve your relationship with them by being kind to them. Of course, don't take the abuse. Create your own boundaries, but you can always make it a more compassionate conversation. First. Second is to give unconditional positive regard. So whenever you meet a victim or a criminal or a survivor, of course, you cannot counsel them at that point. You cannot give them life suggestions or advices at that time. But if you understand their situation, you will know that they are, they are under extreme distress at that moment. Providing them with certain information that would be helpful to them will be a very kind act from your end, and will create the sense of help, hope in that individual. It is very important to identify that on what level does a person needs help. So also it would be very helpful if you guys, if we have few numbers of mental health professionals handy, numbers of suicide helplines handy to us, so that we can help people with it. It is also important to understand, in fact it is very essential for everybody who is into the forensics field to do a gatekeeper course on either mental health or on suicide prevention. Second would be, so first is empathy, second is unconditional positive regard, and third would be to be non-judgmental towards people. Of course, it is impossible to be completely non-judgmental towards people, but you can always try to at least have uh, so as we Carl Jung has said that the mind doesn't revolve between right and wrong, it revolves between sense and nonsense, and what this sense and nonsense is has a different definition for everybody around you. So it would be really helpful if you understand that the entire world is having their own lens, they are wearing their own probably glasses. Somebody is wearing red, somebody is wearing yellow, somebody is wearing green. And if you try to, a person, if a person is wearing a red glass, and if you with your green glass try to make him understand how the world looks, he is not going to understand it. In fact, he is going to, that is going to frustrate you more and frustrate him also more. So I think the better way to deal with people around you in life, in your professional and personal life, is to understand that they are different. They are having different experiences, you are having different experiences, and we all of us are being conditioned in a very different way, so we have different perspectives towards life. So it's always better to agree to disagree at certain points and head on to life. This helps you understand that people are going to be different, and it's okay that they let them live their life the way they want to, until unless it is not harming you physically or emotionally. Then of course you need to create your own boundaries, but it is always helpful to, once try understanding people around you with their lens. So I just always tell this to my clients that so when they come up with that, I just don't understand why people behave the way they behave, and I don't understand why I behave with them in that way. I just tell them that probably once try to look from their perspective, look at your world and their world. So probably take their glasses, and you would realize that why are they saying that the entire world is red and not green, is because their experiences are completely different, and that would, that somewhere creates a sense of individuality and the social connection as well. So yeah, so three things: empathy, non-judgmental attitude, unconditional positive regard would be the things that will help you as a forensic professionals and also people who want to get into the field of mental health who are studying about it. It's going to help you understand the world around you in a better way. It's going to make you much more empathetic in a matter that it would not, everything around you will not bother you. It's always good to question things, but it's never good to question the way why do people leave the way they live, and they should change and start living in your manner. So once you understand that, this is going to create a world which is going to be very concerned about mental health as well, and this in next is going to be a very good precursor to reducing the risk towards suicide. So yeah, so as youth, what we can do is create awareness about mental health. In order to create awareness about mental health, you first need to know basics about mental health. So like we discussed today, and what exactly are the myths about suicide, and what uh, are the facts about suicide. Once you have known it, try circulating it around everywhere, because mental health crisis is a real thing, and it was there before pandemic as well, and it's going to be there after pandemic as well, because we are yet not giving as much as attention that it requires. So it is very important to be aware about the things that you're going through. Second, coming to media, last point, that it is very important to be vigilant in case of suicide. It is very important to be vigilant to point out media professionals wherein they are not following the guidelines, and to tell them that they need to write a mail to them, write a mail to media houses. If you spot it on a social media, write down to them on their comment section, or probably if you find it, so it is, so you're supposed to do it so that they stop doing it, because the way you talk about suicide, if somebody is talking about suicide in an insensitive way, then you're supposed to stop them, because the way you talk about it, it's going to create a whole different perspective. And last thing, you don't say we usually have a habit of writing committed suicide. So the reason why we write and say committed suicide is because suicide was a criminal act before. Attempting to suicide was a criminal act before MHCA, that is Mental Health Care Act 2000, when it was passed in 2018. But now it is no more a criminal act, because if a person is going through through severe stress, they are not going to be punished. In fact, the person who abets, who instigates to that act, is going to be punished. So it is no more committed suicide, it is died by suicide or lost life due to suicide. So these are the few key points that we all need to know. My social media handles, and of course, Nexus Forensics is open to all the doubts and queries that you guys will be having related to it. Please feel free to ask me questions, and to and I'm open to discussing anything about the issues that we spoke today or about mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neil. Really, it was a pleasure having you here. It was really a very interesting session on suicide prevention, as it is the need of hour, basically. But then I hope the people take it seriously, because in past also there were a lot of incidences which were, like gave a, you can say, gave a spark in the minds of people regarding mental health, mental disorders. But then if the spark got like blown off, and again it came to a standstill. But now again the spark has been ignited, and I hope all the people, especially parents, take it seriously about mental health, the mental disorders, the problems the students are facing, the family members are facing, and they open up about it. That's very important, to open up. If they don't open up, then it will be really difficult to, like showing empathy, or like talking to them, having a conversation with them. It gets very difficult for that. So the main thing is to open up your problems, share your problem with someone, and then like you can probably find a solution out of it.
Yeah, I think, and but for that, one more thing which is important for people to open up and to share, it is very important for us to provide them the safe space.
Right.
So the trust is very important. So
Yeah.
it is very, so like, tell you that I'm having a problem, and Venkatesh, if you just tell me, okay, go take a walk, or probably go take a ice cream and you'll be fine,
Right.
then it is going to discourage me from sharing.
Right.
And that's what happens in the world around us,
Yeah.
that because mental health is not given that, is not taken that seriously, people don't share about it because they
Right.
don't think it is important. So if we provide them the safe space, if we try to, like as I spoke about empathy, if you try understanding their situation from their shoes, you would understand that yeah, it is a very important issue, and the discussion about it
Very
is
true.
important, and probably seeking help is much more important.
Yeah, that's why it's no, like having one-to-one conversation is the best medicine, or you can say the best treatment for the suffering from mental disorder or mental stress. So having one-to-one conversation, people should look for it. You should take it in a positive way. Don't take it in a different way. So you take it in a positive way, and like you try to have a good conversation, healthy conversation with the person. So seriously, it was a very good session. I hope the youth find it very informative, because in this pandemic era, especially in the field of forensics, the people might get disheartened or get the lack of motivation is there. But then, due to this session, because of this session, the people might get motivated. They are try searching for new opportunities that are coming in the field, and they don't get disheartened. That's more important. They keep the
Yeah,
positivity
so when
there.
coming to forensics, I would say one thing that helped me a lot to create my career into the field of forensics, between the discouragements that I was getting from society, from my family members, and in fact our professors as well, to be very
Right.
honest. So the thing is, one thing that they used to used to discourage us is thinking about future. I would say it's always better in during a pandemic also, it is always better to be in the present. It is not easy to be in the present, but it helps you, because thinking about past or future is going to make you feel powerless, because you don't have power over it.
Right.
It is not under your control, but you have your present in your hand. So do your best, use your skills and talents in your present moment. uh, Invest all your time into using your potentials that you have, being a kinetic to all the potential that you have, and you would just be shocked to see that the paths are created uh, खुद से ही हो जाता है वो. You
Right.
don't need to
Very true.
and take extra effort. So if
Yeah.
you think about what's going to happen 10 years after 10 years, or what's going to happen after you complete your masters, we don't have clue.
Very
So
true.
rather
Like, go
focus
with the
on
flow,
this day.
basically.
What are you going to do today? Yeah. So in the field of forensics as well, it's going to help, because people are going to discourage you by saying that there's no future to it. You need to understand that there is a present to it, and you're living in that present.
Right.
So creating a future is in your hand.
Right. Very true. So thank you once again. Really, it was a
For
pleasure
having
having
me.
you
Thank
here.
you so much for having me.
I'm looking forward to future opportunities also. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome to our next session. The challenges from student life to professional life, either physical or mental, plays a very important role in overall development of human. Healthy mind leads to healthy body. Hereby introducing our next session on mental health in journey of forensicers. The speaker for this session is Ms. Vedika Agarwal, who is trainee forensic psychologist and researcher for project with Bodhi Health Education. She is also a research intern for Healthy Mind World, as well as psychology intern for Indian School of Counseling and Healing Studies. She has completed Masters of Science in Forensic Psychology and Mental Health Science from University of Manchester. In her professional career, she has volunteered in various NGOs and mental health organizations. She has monitored and assessed children and young adults with mental health problems such as autism spectrum disorder, Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, or learning disabilities. Her expertise lies in counseling and conducting integrative therapy techniques with children, young adults, and adults with various mental health problems. She specializes in rehabilitation and reformation of prisoners and ex-convicts. We are glad to have her on the panel for this live webinar. Over to you, Ms. Vedika.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Vedika. Hope all of you are doing fine and taking care of your mental health. Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh, for such a hearty welcome. As Mr. Venkatesh has already mentioned, I'm an aspiring forensic psychologist, and I've also completed my master's in forensic psychology from the University of Manchester, UK. So today's talk, we'll focus on various challenges that we as professionals in the forensic arena face right from the stage of choosing this career path to working in various organizations. I will also try and give you a few coping strategies that could probably help you improve your mental health. So firstly, let's begin with what is applied science. What do you mean by applied science? I'm sure that all of you know that applied science basically involves applying scientific theories to developing practical applications. It is the use of scientific processes and knowledge as the means to achieve a particularly practical or useful result. Applied sciences include many fields of study such as engineering, medicine, food science, computer science, architecture, forensic science, psychiatry, amongst many others. And also, it refers to the broad spectrum of application of broad spectrum of sciences to answer questions of interest in the legal system. Forensic science. This may be in relation to crime or civil laws. In summary, the number of branches under the umbrella of applied sciences is vast. Now let us look into why is it important? Why are applied sciences important in today's world? So applied science, as you see, is the main basis of inventions and complex procedures. Without applied science, we won't be able to transfer all the scientific knowledge into a physical environment in order to help technological advancement or general development in society. What would be the point of having such knowledge if we can't apply it to improve our life? Therefore, it enables science to be more applicable in real life, and applied sciences takes results of research in the pure sciences like physics, mathematics, and use them to actually create new technologies, new social processes, new materials and medical treatments. So these new scientific concepts are then introduced into society and exploited to our advantage. You won't get trains or planes or automobiles without engineers. You wouldn't implement new ways of education or new methods to treat diseases based on research without applied scientists like engineers and doctors. Now let us divert our attention towards forensic science as an applied science in the justice system. So what is forensic science? Forensic science is the use of science to investigate crime and present unbiased scientific evidence in court. Forensic scientists draw knowledge from broad spectrum of sciences to answer questions of interest in the legal system pertaining to either criminal laws or civil laws, as we all know. It deals with the application of the knowledge and methodology of various disciplines of science to legal systems. Forensic science is a crucial element of the modern day judicial system, applying scientific principles to criminal investigations. It involves the use of multiple disciplines such as chemistry, biology, physics to recognize, identify, and evaluate physical evidence during an investigation. It also assists the authorities by using a variety of techniques to analyze the evidence and solve criminal cases, but it is not limited, only to it's not limited in its uses. So let us move on to the role of forensic scientists. What do you think forensic scientists do? So as we know, forensic science is that piece without which the puzzle of criminal investigation is incomplete. Without the application of forensic science, criminals never be convicted unless there is an eyewitness present. While detectives and law enforcement agencies collect evidence, be it physical or digital, forensic scientists analyze those evidence in order to establish facts admissible in the court of law. So as you can see, they collect, preserve, and analyze scientific evidence. during the course of an investigation. While some forensic scientists travel to the crime scene and collect those evidence, others are limited to the role of the laboratory and they analyze them. So, as you can see on the presentation itself, it says, present results of work in written form or by giving oral evidence, defend findings under cross-examination in the courts. So all forensic scientists also testify as expert witnesses in both criminal and civil cases and can work in either prosecution or the defense. Thus, in a world devoid of forensic science, murderers, thieves, drug dealers, drug traffickers, rapists would be roaming scot-free. Another interesting aspect of forensic science is criminal profiling. This needs no introduction, as we all often have encountered its use in popular television series such as Criminal Minds, Law and Order, Profiler, and the film Silence of the Lambs. But let me add a word of caution here. The portrayal of forensic scientists and criminal profilers as shown in TV shows and films are not accurate, as they are often glorified. But saying that, it is true that criminal profiling is a part of forensic science. It dates back to 1888 and is believed to have been originally used and adapted by the FBI. It enables forensic scientists to zero down on suspects by determining a criminal's patterns and personality. It is based on a psychological evaluation of all the belongings seized from the offender. And this helps in drawing a complete social and psychological assessment of the offender. Although it is often questioned for its accuracy and effectiveness and scientific validity, its role in criminal investigation cannot be neglected. So the scope of forensic science, therefore, is not limited to just crime scenes, but encompasses all aspects of the judicial system. Thus, the role of forensic science in criminal justice and the legal system is highly crucial, but unfortunately, in India, it is often underrated. Even though forensic science is so important for the investigation of criminal activity, there are several challenges faced by professionals in this field, especially in India. Let us talk about a few of those challenges faced by people choosing forensic science as their career. So let us look at it. Even as early as while choosing the field as our career path, we face few challenges. So high school is a phase in which each and every one of us witness a major evolution. That is, by that I mean that we transform from a lackadaisical teenager to an adult, because we have to choose a successful career path, and this decision of the future can either make or break our impending future, or so we think. So every student at the brink of completing high school have few questions in their mind. Which course to choose, which colleges to target, which career would open the doors to a lucrative future? Well, high schools and especially in India, we face two other important challenges as high school students. Firstly, peer and family pressure, which unfortunately has always played a major role in influencing a student's career choices. Secondly, the lack of job opportunities. In today's job market, the lack of jobs is not only pertaining to forensic science, but also it has seen a sharp decline in the number of investment proposals for industries. So, in fact, an RBI report said that the growth rate of manufacturing contracted from 12.9% in 2009 to 2010 to negative 3.7% in 2015-2016 report. So that just shows how dangerous or how grave the situation is. That India's employment elasticity, by which I mean the, the measure of how employment growth responds to the GDP growth, is also quite low. It was 0.3 between 1991 and 2007, and now it stands at only 0.15. This means that 1% of overall economic growth produces only 0.15% of employment growth. So this has led to a diminishing trend of choosing engineering and medical courses as a career path. But even though engineering, medical courses, and other courses, popular courses, have the trend has declined, that people are choosing it less and less now because of lack of job opportunities. But Indian students are still unaware of the career prospects of many not so popular courses, and forensic science is one of them. And so now, if we look at how students choose their career path generally, let me ask you something. What do we usually look at when choosing a field? Availability of entry-level jobs in the field, opportunity for advancement into the field, compensation, that is the pay and benefits that we might receive when we enter into the real world of employment, then the current trends and the effect of the field over the next several decades. Isn't that right? So assuming that these are the few things that one considers while choosing a career path, let's say that someone decides to take forensic science, like many of you here have taken the option, or specialize in one of the forensic science subjects, such as forensic psychology, and pursue it as a career. He or she might have concerns regarding job opportunities in the field. This can be a very stressful time, as one might be really passionate about the subject, but the harsh reality is that in India, there are not many jobs available in the field of forensic science or forensic psychology. This might add to the stress and anxiety of the young person choosing this field and looking for job opportunities. So this stress and anxiety can be managed and used effectively to advance one's career. Some people might choose to take up jobs in another field and change their career path since they need financial income. But there are other ways to cope up with this stress and anxiety that we face. So, as we all know, the stress is a fact of life, but being stressed out is not. Obviously, we do not have control over what happens to us all the time. And anxiety can be a normal part of one's life if experienced in phases. But yet, that doesn't mean we have to react to a difficult situation by becoming frazzled or being overwhelmed or distraught. Being overly anxious is not just a mental hazard, it's also a physical one. It has damaging effects on our brain and on the rest of the body. It also has emotional and cognitive effect on us. Let us look at it in a few more details. So, the more stressed out we are, the more vulnerable we are to cold, flu, and host of chronic and life-threatening illnesses, and less open we are about the beauty and pleasures of life. Thus, with continual symptoms, often have a treatable anxiety disorder. Stress and anxiety also hinder our academic and career success more than other non-academic factors. In addition to hurting concentration, both can lead to racing thoughts, poor judgment, impaired memory, and on the emotional spectrum, it can also lead to depression, agitation, inability to relax, and can result in leading to, leading to procrastination. Like, we might be so stressed that we might not be able to do our daily life activities or the aims or targets that we have set up for ourselves because we would like be in not a good mental state to actually go ahead and continue with those tasks. So we might procrastinate. And for some, it also might lead to self-medication with drugs and alcohol. And anxiety and stress may also manifest themselves physically, causing students to suffer from nausea, rapid heartbeat, dizziness, headaches, chest pains. The effects of stress and anxiety are countless. But when you notice that you're persistently going through these symptoms, I would urge you to seek professional help and work on elevating your stress. But, but now I will mention few of the techniques that you could probably use to manage your stress and anxiety. So let's move on to coping strategies. First, first strategy could be breathe easily. I know you hear it often, people saying, breathe in a relaxed manner. But it's not just that. We often, take it for granted because it's so innate that most of us don't even pay attention to how we do it. But there's a way to breathe for better health and for stress management. So breathing from your diaphragm oxygenates your blood, which helps you relax almost instantly. Dr. Robert Cooper, the co-author of Power of Five, a book of 5-second and 5-minute health tips, have also suggested that shallow chest breathing, by contrast, can cause your heart to beat faster and your muscles to tense up, exacerbating feelings of stress. To breathe deeply, begin by putting your hand on your abdomen and just below the navel. Inhale slowly through your nose and watch your hand move out of your belly as your belly expands. Hold the breath for a few seconds and then exhale. Repeat this several times, and this will definitely help you release some of the stress that you might be facing. Another technique that could be, make time for a mini self-massage. By self-massage, I do not mean, full body massage or something very exorbitant. It's a simple way. It's just simply massage the palm of your one hand by making a circular motion with the thumb of the other. And this can elevate stress. This has also been suggested by Maria Hernandez Reef, uh, who, who is doing extensive research in the Touch Research Institute at the University of Miami School of Medicine. She recommends that simply massaging the palm of one hand by making a circular motion with the thumb of the other will help in stress management because it relaxes you. So another method could be, say, simply smiling. I know it sounds very absurd that if you're stressful, how can you smile? But smiling is a two-way mechanism. We do it when we are happy and relaxed, but doing it also makes us feel happy and relaxed. So smiling transmits nerve impulses from the facial muscles to the limbic system, a key emotional center in the brain, tilting the neurochemical balance towards calmness. So go ahead and grin. So another very simple method is do some maths. So using a scale of 1 to 10, while 1 being equivalent to a minor hassle and 10 being a true catastrophe, assign a number to whatever is that's making you feel anxious or stressed. You will be surprised to find that most of the problems we encounter rate somewhere between 2 to 5. And in other words, they really are not such a big deal. This is also, you know, the research has also been done in this and has been proven that we tend to overanalyze our problems and make it huge when they are in fact not that huge, and that if we can work towards it if we keep calm and properly analyze it. Dr. Alan Elkin, a clinical psychologist from New York, has also attested to this, that if we use the method of rating our problems, we often find that we're making our problems seemingly, huge problems, which are in fact very, minor or very small. So do some maths. And another technique is compose a mantra. Affirmations are very helpful. A short, clear, positive statement can focus you and help you in coping with your stress. Affirmations are a good way to silence the self-critical voice that we carry with ourselves. It, because we always have a tendency to criticize and be harsh on ourselves, and that only adds to our stress. But if we, you know, have a mantra that will, calm ourselves, it could be as simple as saying, I feel calm, I can handle this, or I can do this, and this shall too pass. And repeat this 10 times. This will make you feel calm and relaxed and give you confidence of actually, dealing with your problem and being proactive. Formulate your own affirmations that will help you manage your stress. It could be anything that might, make you bring back a positive sense of mind frame. This brings me to the next point, which is be a fighter. Yes, trouble's always there, and it might seem too much to handle. But we often notice that at the first sign of stress, people often complain, what did I deserve for this? Like, why did I deserve this? But the trouble is, feeling like a victim only increases feelings of stress and helplessness. Instead, we should focus on being proactive. If something is cancelled, don't wallow in self-pity. If your space is too hot or cold, don't suffer in silence. Do something about it. Be proactive. See what can be done to make things more comfortable. So for instance, if you're unable to get the desired job role, engage in activities that will make you more skilled, or look at different ways to approach the same problem. Maybe connect with professionals in your field through various platforms such as LinkedIn, or just mail them and ask them for suggestions. Do not hesitate to seek help, because trust me, professionals in our field are very willing to help others like us. Then, another thing, very important thing, is schedule worry time. By that I mean that, some stressors like fire alarm or police car siren or ambulance, etc., need or demand immediate attention. But whereas many of our stressors are low grade and can be dealt with at a later time, when it's more convenient for us to actually focus on the problem and, work on it. So file them away in a little mental compartment, or make a note, and then deal with them when the time is right. Don't let them control you. So if we let our problems and stressors control us, we won't be able to function. As you know, as I mentioned earlier as well, stress and anxiety can lead to a lot of mental health problems and physical problems, cognitive problems. So it's, we have to be very mindful of it. Oh, that leads me to the other point. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about living attentively in the moment, and it leads to relaxation. So you are present here, but your body is there. But is your mind here? Or are you thinking of something else? Or are you thinking of your problems, or of your future, of your past? So you need to align yourself to the present. So it heightens your awareness of the moment. So practicing mindfulness will bring you back to the present. And by focusing in, you could focus on an object or just, on your breathing. It could be a lot of techniques in mindfulness that you can adapt to, bring back to your present and then deal with your problems accordingly and effectively. So it could be as simple as, notice a pencil sharp, a tip of the pencil, or the color, the weight, or, mindfully or slowly savoring a piece of chocolate or fruit, and to start your day mindfully. Then, then brings me to the next point. It's straighten up. Yeah, our postures are really important because when people are under stress, we often, slump down as if the weight of the world is on our shoulders. And slumping restricts breathing and reduces blood and oxygen flow to the brain and adds muscle tension and magnifies feelings of panic and helplessness. So, straightening your spine has just the opposite effect. It promotes circulation, increases oxygen levels in your blood, and helps lessen muscle tension, all of which promote relaxation. So whenever you feel, stressed, notice your posture. If you're slumming down, straighten up and feel confident, chin up, and relax. 10. It could be take, stretch, take a walk, take a break and go for a walk, or listen to some music, or call a friend, or space out. Well, space out simply means, find something natural that captures your imagination. Take a look outside your window and notice the clouds rolling perhaps, or the wind in the trees, or just the trees, anything. Spacing out could be so beneficial to managing stress. Who knew that? These are few of very simple things to manage your stress. And there are many, many more. And still be proactive and try to make most of the situation. So, along with these strategies, there's a lot more help available. Please do not hesitate to seek help if needed. In addition to that, I would like to add that there is always hope. And keep learning and expand your knowledge. And you never know, maybe one day you will get that dream job that you've always aspired for. So keep working hard. Huh. Now imagine you've actually got your dream job, but there are both advantages and disadvantages for forensic scientists when working. So, for instance, you get to live like those cool characters from all those popular crime drama television that you grew up watching. Also, a qualified forensic psychologist can choose to be a crime reporter or also careers in teaching. But it's very important to remember that being a forensic expert is not as simple as it looks in those television series. It is much more than just, donning a pair of aviators or clanking into a crime scene in ankle-length boots. It requires an underlying passion, patience, and commitment. So much so that the duty can call you anytime, and it may require you to report to a crime scene in your pajamas or in your tuxedo. So it has both, pros and cons. So the work is stressful in nature as well. You witness or are exposed to different gruesome crimes as well, and this could affect your mental health. However, if you practice a few techniques mentioned above, you might be able to relieve some of the stress. But I would also like to add a word of caution: if you feel that the stress or anxiety is too much for you to handle, then please seek professional help. Do not neglect your needs. Accept it. Accept that you need help, and there is nothing wrong in seeking professional help. So, as you can see, that Rose would be studying and investigating crime scenes, and it would be exciting in nature. Like the work of would be exciting. The work would be stimulating for those interested in forensics, crime, and law. The work holds the utmost importance for upholding the judicial system of the country. On the other hand, it is inherently stressful as well, being excited but stressful. The work can also lead, you know, can also be, for stretched too long. The working hours would be too long. The timings would be flexible. You could be called in at any time if there is an urgency. Then the work requires one to report from the crime scene, which may not be suitable for some. Maybe, even though you're passionate about the subject, maybe looking at a crime scene or a dead body or something might, not be good for your mental health. Maybe you wouldn't be able to handle it. So it might not be suitable for some. And so there are both pros and cons. And the seeds and opportunities in this career are limited, especially in our country. Unfortunately, that is how it is. But things might be changing. So let's see how. However, it's also important to know that with an increase in crime rates, the need for forensic scientists is increasing day by day. So, but saying that, it is also imperative to consider that the demand, though increasing, is not increasing at the rate it is required to relieve today's budding forensic scientists of their stress and anxiety. So it's really important for you to take care of your mental health. So let's see, child rapes rose by 82% in 2016. 2016 saw 106 rapes in a day. The overall crime incidence in India rose by 2.6% in 2016. And out of 19 metropolitan cities analyzed, Delhi accounted for the highest number of crimes, as 38.8%, followed by Bangalore 8.9%, and Mumbai 7.7%. So these figures focus out loud the increasing demand for forensic science professionals in the near future, thus indicating a parallel increase in the forensic science jobs in India. There, a forensic science degree in India is yet to receive its due reverence, as it is often overshadowed by more popular trending options such as engineering, medicine, fashion designing, advertising, MBA, or like. However, with 2.8 crore cases pending at various courts across India, our country definitely needs more private forensic labs for expediting the investigation processes. This would further help various institutions and individuals in resolving their internal family or business disputes. With many private forensic labs having come up, forensic science jobs are definitely up for grabs. So, also a survey conducted by PwC has determined cybercrime to be the second and most reported economic crime in 2016. The technology wave has disrupted our lives and the way businesses are conducted, both for the good and the bad. The need for digital forensic experts has increased all the more. Thus, it is evident that the requirement for digital and cyber forensic experts is on an upward growth trajectory. There is hope. So on this note, I would like to end my talk. I hope I could give you an insight into the world of forensic science and few of the challenges faced and how to cope with such challenges. And if you need any help or have any queries regarding it, please email me as my email address is mentioned here. And thank you. Hope you have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Vedika. It was a pleasure having you here. And you really spoke about all the small things which are very important to cope up stress. It's just like it's a human tendency that we tend to neglect these basic and small and silly things, but then how effective they are, we realize it later on. So as it is said that big things come in small packets. So these small things are very much important, and I hope all the people, they take it seriously, and they, like, whenever they are in stress or whenever they are feeling such thoughts or something like that, so you start with these basic things and it will literally help you a lot. And whatever Vedika spoke about the coping strategies and everything, she spoke with certain statistics and certain references, so it's not like it's like some silly thing or something like that. So these are strategies that will really help you. This like, a lot of researchers have been working on it, and they have literally found a way to cope up with the basic needs, like basic techniques what you can utilize. It might sound silly, again I'm telling you, but then it is really very effective. So thank you so much, Vedika. It was really a very informative and very practical session, and I hope everyone utilizes it. That's more important. And as you spoke about also the scope of forensic, I'll say that the scope of forensic is there, but then the lack of job opportunities is limiting the scope. I can say that. But
Yeah.
then you can literally say there is a lot of scope in forensic, because like forensic is such an applied field, is like where in each and every field you can apply forensic. The knowledge of forensic can be applied in each and every field. It's just the lack of job opportunities is limiting the scope. So hope so in the near future there are a lot of job opportunities and a lot of people come up with forensic as their career. And let's see, keep up the positivity. That's all we can do for now.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
It was a
So
really, it was
I
a
hope
pleasure.
everybody,
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you here. Seriously.
yeah, thank you. It was
Yeah,
a pleasure doing it. Yeah,
thank you
helping
so much.
people is,
Yeah.
thank you.
With this, we come to end of a wonderful session. We are obliged to our speakers and attendees for such a lively and successful webinar. Let's take a pledge to take care of oneself and others with all healthy minds. Nexus The Ultimate Forensics launches a small initiative called as the Virtual Suicide Prevention Kit, which is designed to be in every mobile phone, for wherein contains certain special needs to overcome loneliness. I'll also take the opportunity to thank Ms. Soumya Pathak, Ms. Sachi Pathak, and Mr. Zaid Khan for sharing their valuable contributions in this kit. And a special thank to Ms. Vaishali Ajugia for helping in designing it throughout. Hope everyone makes the most of it. Be happy, stay positive, and keep smiling always. Thank you.